Hey everybody, Heather with you again on our little journey through the crossroads of Israel, exploring our faith and how we live it out in the day-to-day lives that we lead. I'm standing today in Caesarea. Now the exact ground I'm standing on would have been the harbor that King Herod built when he built this space out, when he built this port out. The city of Caesarea is important in the New Testament for a couple of reasons. One, we see that this is the place where Peter brings the gospel to Cornelius. Now, as Gentiles, this is incredibly important for us because this is the moment that the story of Jesus, the faith of Jesus, the gospel comes to us. This is why we're able to have relationship with Christ, because Peter brought the message of God to Cornelius right here. All right, fast forward a little bit in the book of Acts, Acts 23 to 25. This is where we see Paul in 2-year house arrest in prison in this place. We remember him standing before Felix and Festus. This is where that would have happened. Now, hold on to that thought for a minute. Let me talk a little bit about the book of Acts. The book of Acts is kind of divided into the third person pronoun parts and then first person pronoun parts. In other words, the author sometimes talks about they and then other times talks about we. Now we know the author of the book of Acts is Luke. So there were times in that journey that Luke was with the events of Acts and other times when he wasn't. Acts 23 to 25 is one of the we passages. It's one of those moments then Luke was with Paul on his journey. And so while Paul is here in 2.5 year house arrest, doing nothing, Luke is with him. Now, one of the things we also know is that Paul wasn't really productive during this time. He wasn't writing letters. He wasn't active in his ministry. It was 2 to 2.5 years of nothing. And he knew he was called to take the gospel around the entire known world. What was Luke doing during that time? Most likely, this is the time when Luke was writing his gospel, the book of Luke, and also the book of Acts, the history of the early church. Those two books together comprise the bulk of the New Testament. As Paul is sitting in his prison, wondering, God, what are you doing around me? Completely confused about what God is doing in his life and why he's where he is. Could it be that it really wasn't about him? It was about those that would come after him. It was about us. That Luke would have the time to put pen to paper, to examine carefully and investigate all the details, to write the story of Jesus and to write the story of the early church so that we would have that today. There are moments where we know we are amazed at the promises of God and the calling he's placed on our life. Surely the road to Damascus was an amazing moment for the Apostle Paul. When he was here at Caesarea, it was probably a little bit confusing. But that was a time when God was doing something that was bigger than what Paul could see right in front of him. Jesus was doing something to broaden his kingdom, to broaden perspective and scope. And Luke was writing the gospel story. And we can be thankful to God for that time in Caesarea. All right, thanks for joining me. We'll pick it back up again a little bit later today. Thanks for joining.